Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by my co-host, as always, Jacob Boyers. Jacob, a snowy weekend down in Lexington and all of Kentucky, for that matter. And boy, did the Cats start off cold in this one. Early 11 a.m. game for the Cats, but they did find a way to beat Ole Miss 72-63 in a game where they only shot 36% from the field. Wasn't a pretty game, Jake. But like you said a couple weeks ago, a win by 2 points is a win by 2 points, and any wins we can get, we're going to take them.
Yep. 5 straight. How about that, Cam? Would you have thought
We're
with the
here.
way this season was going that at any point we'd say, five straight wins?
Yeah,
you're right.
I did. You were just the negative one about
Whatever.
the Outlaws. So.
Whatever. We all know your opinions of Kentucky basketball. No, I mean, you said it. Ugly game. There's a lot of us sounding like a broken record this year. You've said roller coaster game, season, 100 times. I think I've said 1,000 times. I'm going to continue to say it. Like, I don't care how you win, just win. To be 5-2 in the SEC after the 0-2 start and losing Jalen Lowe and coming into that, I didn't know if this team could win 4 SEC games on the year. So to rattle off 5 straight, I take it. You're right. Obviously, extremely ugly game. We were talking about it before we came on here. You had one made field goal between Denzel Aberdeen, Collin Chandler, and Otega Oweh in the first half. And then down the stretch, Otega and Collin really kind of took over and got you to a win.
Yeah, and Jake, we're going to talk about things that we keep saying week in and week out, and a lot of that is these slow starts offensively. And here we are again. You mentioned, obviously, 3 of our big contributors when it comes to how they've been playing lately. Otega, Denzel, and Collin, I mean, combining for, they had 11 points in the first half. Dude, I mean, what do we got to do to get going? And obviously, Collin, all of his points are from the free throw line. He had 6 from there. What does this team got to do to see the bucket look a little bit bigger in the first half?
I don't know, but I mean, at least in the last 2, especially when you were kind of struggling offensively to kind of start, your defense looked pretty good. I mean, I know Mississippi State's not necessarily like this high-powered offense or anything, but you came out and you held them to 23 in the first half or whatever it was. So, I mean, at least you were never falling behind by 14. We were able to get that out of the way. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're going to say, we've said it. That's another thing we've said 1,000 times on here is like, I don't know. The slow starts are, I think, just going to be a thing that happens offensively for this group. It didn't help. Obviously, Otega picked up 2 quick fouls, so he could never really get in a rhythm in that first half. But, man, it felt like in that second half he came out and, was doing all the things that we've talked about Otega doing when he plays his best. And that second half was, I think, as good as you've seen him play, especially on the offensive side of the ball all season. I mean, what he finished with 23,
23, yep.
Yeah. And, essentially all of those coming in the second half, all of his field goals, obviously. Still would like to see him shoot a little better from 3, but at the very least, he's doing what I think we've kind of said for a year and a half now he's got to do, and that's at least be respectable back there. And it just, I think, even him, you like to see him go a little better than 1 of 5, but I mean, if he can go 1 of 3 or 2 of 5 on any given night, I think it just adds an extra element of his game to where at least opposing defenses have to respect it. And I think you see that helps him get to the lane, and then 10 of 13 from the free throw line from him. So I think all in all, you obviously had some guys not play their best games, but a win by 9 against anybody in the SEC, I'm not going to be too disappointed in.
Yeah, and Jake, this might actually come as a surprise to you. I'm actually going to sound like I did with a lot of Otega Oweh's performances last year. This is actually one where I wasn't necessarily impressed with the shot selection that he had going into this game. And then he just didn't impact the game in any other way outside of his scoring in the second half, which obviously that is a huge part of the game. But, I mean, 6 of 12, I mean, it's 50%, yes. I mean, got to the line for 13 attempts, hit 10 of 13. But to play 29 minutes, grab 1 rebound, no assist, have 2 turnovers, not have a steal or a block. Unfortunately, this is kind of like, again, I'm not going to harp on it like this wasn't a bad game by any means. But I do think this was a little bit more of what we saw from Otega earlier in this season, in which it was, hey, let me go ahead and get mine. Let me go ahead and get my points. I'm getting downhill, putting up shots, whether they're going in or not. I felt like the shot selection was a little bit poor from Otega. And really, they're just, not that the effort wasn't there on the defensive side of the ball. It wasn't what we have grown accustomed to over these past 4 to 5 weeks, which is what has made him great and elite over that time frame. Something that I'm not going to say like I'm overly concerned about, but it's definitely something that, my eyes are definitely going to be a little bit more open to what he does tomorrow night against Vandy.
Yeah, he's going to have to play well tomorrow, and I know we'll kind of get into Vandy a little more, but I mean, similar to Michigan State and Louisville, like they have 2 really good guards, so you're gonna need a pretty strong game from Otega on both sides of the floor tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a world in which he can play 30 minutes and have 1 rebound, especially with how physical he is and how physical he plays. Seeing 12 shot attempts, I'm all right with that amount. I don't want 5 of them coming from the 3-point line, even if he is hitting them at a little bit better rate than he is this year. But there's no world in which Otega should be your worst rebounder on the court, in which he was against Ole Miss, and he played the most amount of minutes outside of Collin Chandler. I don't know, man. It got me, for whatever reason, and like I told you, I had to go back and rewatch a lot of this game as I was at the women's game, but there were just pieces of it that gave me a little bit of flashbacks to Otega early in the season that I didn't necessarily like to see, but I'm hoping it's just a 1-game off spell from him.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is he probably in this game more so felt like he kind of had to force that, right? You didn't have Denzel playing his best game. The offense in general felt like it was sluggish. Your bigs weren't really giving you anything offensively. I mean, there was that stretch there in the second half. It was pretty much just Otega trying to get to the rim and get into the free throw line. That was essentially your only offense. So, I know you mentioned he took 5 threes, which is maybe more than you want to see. At the end of the day, I think as long as they're kind of all open and within the flow of the offense, which I don't remember any that weren't.
I don't think. I know there was at least 2 that were pretty heavily contested, and those were both in the second half. But I'm not sure about the 2 that he missed in the first half.
Yeah. I don't know. I think in the games where we're struggling offensively, like I just think it's Otega's nature. He's going to try to play a little bit of hero ball, and I think that at times that's going to work. At other times it might, drive us a little crazy. But you see how much better he looks when Denzel's playing in the flow of the offense. Malachi's maybe getting involved, and like there was essentially 0 of that. And as well as Collin played, it's not like he's some great shot creator. I think they were doing a good job of finding him. So I just think we kind of got to a point, especially in that second half, where our best offense was him getting to the free throw line. So yeah, he might have forced a little more, but I wouldn't think of it as him like reverting back to what we saw early in the season. I think it's just kind of how this game unfolded, and I fully expect we'll continue to see the Oweh that you saw in those first 5 SEC games.
Yeah, I think this version helps you beat a team like Ole Miss, but I don't think this version will help you beat teams like Vanderbilt and Arkansas that we're going to face this week. Because especially
Denzel's got to play a lot better to beat those teams too.
And Ole Miss didn't really have the athletes that we're going to face this week either when it comes to Vandy, and especially against Arkansas. I don't know. It was concerning to say again. I'm saying concerning after the guy had 23. So obviously we've grown accustomed to, having standards for his level of play, and he had 20 points in the second half. But between him and Denzel, man, we got to have a first half between one of them. We got to if they could split the load maybe, like one take the first half, one take the second half, we can kind of just like spread out that'd be fine. That'd be cool, but I mean, something that I've actually liked of what Denzel has gotten more, like especially later in this SEC play, he's actually creating a lot for other guys, which is something we hadn't seen going into, this last 5-6 game spell. I mean, he had 5 assists in this one. Obviously, didn't shoot the ball well. He's only 1 of 6, knocked down all of his free throws. But I mean, he's not turning the ball over at a high clip. I thought he got called for probably some of the worst like foul calls that I've ever seen, and this officiating was
There were some
brutal
bad
to say
ones.
the least. Like I thought he had a couple more steals in there that he should have had that he got called on, a couple on AJ Storrs specifically. It sounds dumb, right? What I'm about to say. I feel more confident seeing the 6-point outing with 5 assists that I saw from Denzel Aberdeen than what I saw from Otega yesterday or
Well,
Saturday.
we
It
all
doesn't make
know
sense.
that Mr. Cam Johnston's Mr. Negativity and,
Oh, okay.
Oweh hater, and Mr.
I didn't think
Basketball
anybody
for
was going to
Kentucky
call me
basketball.
probably a Denzel Aberdeen hater, if we're being honest.
Hey, we have completely flipped our whole perception of Denzel.
Mhm.
But no, I agree with you about him becoming more of a playmaker. I texted you a few games ago. I forget exactly which one it was, but I was like, we're starting to, Denzel turning into a point guard. And I think you're seeing more and more every game, just moments where we've talked about it, how much more comfortable he looks in that role as
The
opposed to,
pace that he plays with is starting to slow
yeah,
down, and he's the only guy on this team that can still kind of slow the pace down, and it still feels like we're in some sort of flow of the offense.
yeah, that's definitely been, I think, the biggest, change in how he's played. He's done a good job too of, changing that speed, slowing it down and then hitting a pump fake and accelerating into the lane and getting that,
Mhm.
we talked about it, that mid range or, pump faking into a defender. So I wasn't extremely discouraged with the performance that, from Denzel. Like you said, I think there were a couple bad foul calls on him. I know everybody's talked about it, but the foul call against Otega there in the second half was
That was
probably
crazy.
the worst call I've ever seen, and it was 2 feet in front of the officials.
That
Um,
was.
I
Let's actually just talk about that for a second, because even if you want to say like no call, right?
yeah,
I didn't see the hook, whatever. In what world is Otega getting getting the foul called
I
on
don't
him?
know.
Like what is that?
I don't know. I don't know what else he could have done. I mean, he literally just got grabbed on the side and somehow it was a foul on Otega. I mean, I think Otega probably would have been better off just falling down, because then you probably could have gotten the hook and hold, and they would have probably
Mhm.
reviewed it. So that was, yeah. And again, you were 2 feet in front of the officials, and that's the call that they come away with.
He's
But
in a big part of the game too, man. Like
oh
that. I
yeah,
mean, granted he misses the free throw, but I mean that's a
you
huge
still
call in a
gave
big
them
spot
2
of this game.
points because that should have been an offensive foul.
Yeah.
And
hmm
yeah, big swing. I mean, I think even Pope, somebody said they read his lips with like 30 seconds left, and he asked the official like, how many easy ones are you going to continue to mess up? But it really did feel like that, I think, pretty clear. um, but hey, I mean, you found a way to win it. um, we talked about Denzel, we talked about Oweh. I mean, got to give another game where we're giving praise to Collin Chandler. I think we're really starting to see him flourish into that role, and I think getting away from maybe our expectations early in the year where, we even kind of said, like, could he be your second or third best player? I think just within the offense and,
I mean, he might
him
be
get,
that right now, honestly.
yeah. But like with him in the offense, like just kind of letting it come to him, he's not having to create as much, starting to find confidence in that shot again. I mean, for him to pull that three, with 40
Yeah.
seconds or whatever to pretty much ice it, like that's
Especially
not a
when you're
shot.
shooting 1 for 6 at that time too.
Yeah. But like that's not even a shot 6 games ago he's even taken.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he does take, he's got zero confidence in it. And you talked about how high he would shoot it, and he would, you know, to get back to that confidence we saw towards the end of last year and at the beginning of this year, I think it's huge, and I think for him it's just playing a role that he's comfortable in playing.
Yeah, and again, the part that I think I loved the most about Collin Chandler's game in this one was obviously perfect from the line. So 6 of 6 there. He obviously nailed a huge, crucial 3-pointer to give this team, a little bit of edge going forward. About 7 rebounds from him
Yep,
in
he was
34
everywhere. It
minutes.
felt like
Those are huge, and those are he's getting a lot of in traffic rebounds as well too. These aren't just like I look at the rebound totals, and Jasper got 2 easy ones that really weren't they're just the ones that fall to you.
Yep.
When Collin's getting these rebounds, man, these are ones that he's like going after, and he's skying above people. Like there was one against Dia that he just straight out jumped him.
Yep.
That's a guy who's got 6 inches on him, which is that's the part that I think I love the most about his game. And if you remember, like how he started getting into his rhythm last year, it was on the defensive side of the ball, getting steals, making extra passes, coming down with those rebounds. And that's really what you're seeing now. And now it seems like the shot is starting to come along with it. I know it's kind of crazy to say when he only went 2 for 10, but 2 of 7 from the 3-point line and 100% from the free throw line. I think this is, like, if you could sign me up for this version of Collin Chandler, not maybe. I would definitely want a better shooting percentage than 2 of 10. But if you're telling me all these other auxiliary numbers like 7 boards, getting an assist, making a clutch 3, sign me up for that version of Collin Chandler. Because right now I think this is, I don't want to say as good as it can get from him because I think he can shoot the ball a lot better, but I think this is a good version that we're getting now.
Definitely. I mean, outside of shooting, I think he played as well as you could have hoped and maybe played the best performance from any of the Cats. And
definitely the most complete of everybody.
Yeah. And I do think there's we've talked about it, how a lot of these guys don't have like versatility on this team. They just kind of are what they are. Like Collin is a guy I think that can give you a lot of versatility, right? Like he can go out there and make shots. You mentioned the rebounding. The defense is, starting to come along, I think, to kind of how we expected it. There was in that Missouri game, we were like, why are you putting him in for defense? He hasn't defended well in, 2 months, right? But like he's back to kind of being that defender and coming up with those loose balls and getting steals. I mean, we talk about it with Otega, the pick sixes, like Collin's starting to read those passing lanes too. And obviously the one that won the game at Tennessee, but like there's been other examples, and it's just, he's really starting to flourish into that player. And I think, I don't think there's ever going to be a world where he's your best player, but like he could definitely be one of the more all-around complete players on the team. And who knows, he might continue to be a streaky player for his whole career. And, in a month, we're talking about how he's, not giving you a lot of good stuff. And that just might be the Collin Chandler experience. But when he is playing well and playing with confidence, I think he can be as versatile and impactful as anybody on this team.
Yeah, well, who's negative now? You said it could revert back. I mean, who's getting negative now?
I'm just talking about if we're just looking at the past, Collin, in your words, roller coaster of a experiment.
I got you. But one thing you touched on there that I kind of wanted to hit in more depth, having 2 guys on the wings in Collin and Otega that can both have that ability to go for pick sixes at any point in time throughout the game, adds just such a level to this team that I think really you had been missing for that middle stretch of that like 7-game slump that we were in, whatever you want to call that little spell that we were in. We didn't have those easy buckets. There were no, get out on transition, get an easy 2. If you can have 1 or 2 of those plays a game, I mean, it really just changes everything around. You obviously we've mentioned it every week with Otega. Collin had the big one last week. And this one, I mean, he had a steal. I mean, he didn't end up going for a pick 6. He didn't finish it himself, but I know they scored on it. I don't remember who it got around to, but I know they scored on his steal immediately after. Just having possessions like that where it turns into an easy bucket, I think, is huge for this team. And, I mean, speaking of an easy bucket, banking a 3, I mean, that's an easy bucket.
Yeah.
That early on a Saturday, I mean, Jasper,
I think he called it. I mean, he got it in before the banks closed at noon, man.
I mean, you're not wrong. But, I mean, are we talking about your best 2 offensive players might genuinely be Andrea Jelovich and Jasper Johnston in the first half? Like, when you're talking about just scoring the basketball
in the
first half.
In
every first half. It feels like those are the 2 that you can actually rely on to make a big bucket. Like, Jelovich only had 3 points. He only shot the ball twice. Jasper had 8 points in that first half. Hit 2 threes, obviously.
8 quick ones, too.
That's what he does. We mentioned, we had now, granted, Jake, obviously, with this game going on, I'm going to have to bring up the fact that, you called him Travis Perry.
Easy.
But you also did call him Rob Dillingham, too. So
I did.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a little bit of grace and a little bit of, like, you might be a doofus. There's going to be a little bit of both here because, obviously, it was a tough reunion here for Travis Perry. But he did have that spurt ability that, we've called it, that Rob Dillingham had. And just to go off for 8 quick points and really – I mean, we mentioned this back-to-back games. He's the one who kept you in the game. Like
Yeah.
he is, without him, you're probably down in a big hole, or game's tied, and he's been crucial. And that's somebody we mentioned when Jalen Lowe officially went down for the season. The two guys that we said needed to step up for this team the most were going to be Collin Chandler and Jasper Johnston. And so far, man, they have both answered the bell, and that's why we're on this 5-game winning streak.
Yeah. I mean, just think about, I'll throw one more guy in there that you mentioned will have to step up when we found out Lowe was out, and that's Denzel. Like the fact that all three of these guys have, answered the bell and played so well when you really need them to. But, not just going back. I mean, Jasper did it this game. He did it with Texas, and he
Tennessee
kept you in Tennessee. And you would have been down 25 at half if it wasn't for him at Tennessee.
Yeah.
But he still pulled that 1-3 right away. And I remember I gasped, and then he knocks it down, and me and my dad were high-fiving, and I'm just like, shocked. Hell, even Trent Noah knocked down a 3 in the first half when I think he kind of needed a bucket. So That's the thing with Jasper, man. It's just, I think that's the perfect role for him. You can't get anything going, put him in there, see if he can, bank in a 3 or, hit one of those floaters or mid-range, just something to kind of give you a little momentum. And he's a guy that's he's filling that role perfectly in those little 6-minute spurts where you can't get anything going offensively. And we keep talking about it, but like that has really been your offense in the first half, him and Yelovich. And then in the second half, when the rest of these guys come along, you can kind of not have to play Jasper as much down the stretch. And I think it's the kind of perfect role for him out there right now.
Yeah, and the more I watch Jasper, the more I get excited about his potential once he understands the physicality and the speed of this college game. Because right now, you can see the playmaking is getting better, but there are still those spots where he gets in the lane and you think he's going up for a floater and he tries to oop Malachi or something like that, and it leads to a turnover or something like that. Right now, he has a lot of those plays still, and obviously that's going to grow with time. But the playmaking's getting a lot better too. I mean, he had 2 assists in this game. It just feels like he's comfortable now.
Yeah, he's getting more comfortable for sure. I think that's
it's kind of crazy to say, because you wouldn't think he'd get more, comfortable during SEC play rather than when we're playing, St. Mary's School of the Blind and Hopeless early in the season.
Yeah, but it is a completely different game, right? I mean, even from Overtime Elite, where you're playing a lot of top level high school talent, but there's a couple of those guys on each team, and then those guys were just kind of going and getting their own. And then you mentioned when you're playing the 330th ranked team in the net, it's a lot slower pace. I think he's starting to figure out that SEC speed. I think that's kind of the perfect way to describe it, is he's just getting more and more comfortable, and he's back to having confidence in that shot. And I know we mentioned it last podcast, or maybe the one before, it's the right kind of confidence. You're not seeing him take a bunch of bad shots. It's outside of 1 or 2, they're not really usually forced or early in the shot clock. But he is a guy that I think late in the shot clock, when you can't get anything else going, hand him the ball and again, see if he'll bank one in, let him throw something up, because he finds a way to get it to go.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably the perfect role for him. Maybe almost. I can't really even compare it to anybody from last year. I was trying to find a comparison for maybe last year, but he's so uniquely him that I just don't think he really. The skill set really is kind of just Rob. It's really what it is. Maybe just a less shifty Rob, I guess if I have to say it. He's not Rob with the shifts, obviously, but
yeah. And I don't think he's a guy like Rob. I think you could have played 30 minutes in college basketball, and I don't think Jasper's to that point yet. But I mean, you're starting to see.
Well, Cal didn't think Rob was at that point either.
I know,
if we're being honest.
but he could have been easily. I think any other team in the nation, he's in that role. But neither here nor there. But you're starting to see. We've obviously.
I can't get you fired up on a little John Calipari on Arkansas week.
Hey,
I'm going to try. I'm going to get you a little fired up.
On our next one, we're going to have a lot to talk about Cal. But I do think Jasper's just he's starting to figure it out. And we talked a lot, he wasn't playing like you didn't see that 5-star talent that, him coming in, we all kind of thought he would be. And I think you're
So
still
much
starting
so that you called him Travis Perry. Yeah.
you're starting to see some of the talent out of him, and you're starting to realize he's getting more and more comfortable. You're playing him, hell, who knows? Maybe in that first half against Alabama, if you had him in, he could have knocked down a couple shots, and you go into half down 10 instead of the 15 we were down, right? And that game's more attainable in the second half. So, I think the more and more he's out there, the more and more confidence he's going to get. There's still going to be some issues, right? Like he's still going to make some mistakes defensively, but you just got to kind of keep letting him get into the role, and I think he's playing the perfect role right now.
Yeah, and credit, we've been on Coach Pope a little bit this year. Credit to Pope for allowing him to, roll with that situation, see what's working with Jasper, and kind of allow him to flourish in that. And somebody who, just continues to flourish, didn't have his best game in this one. I mean, Malachi Moreno still. If I could just I don't know if I want to make this comp or not, because I'm not sure how much I believe it. But what about a freshman year Nick Richards, except, he's just forced to play a little bit more.
I mean, I think he's a lot better than Nick Richards was his freshman year.
I'm more just talking about the size and because right now the biggest problem we have with Malachi is the physicality that he tries to bring it. I'm not saying it's a lack of effort by any means.
Yeah.
He just you see when he's going up against grown men, he doesn't have that strength to necessarily compete down there. And while sometimes, it still leads to him getting blocked or leads to, tip out rebounds to somebody. I genuinely, that's more of what I'm saying. I think could see him taking next year that Nick Richards jump to a sophomore year where he grows more into his body, develops more of an offensive skill set. I could see that going, but yeah, he's been better so far as a freshman than Nick Richards because everything that he's giving you right now, this wasn't even, I think he'd probably consider this one of Malachi's worst games so far this season. I mean, again, only got to catch parts of this game and only got to rewatch the second half. But even the 9 rebounds in 25 minutes, that's something that goes a long way for this team.
Yeah, I don't hate the Nick Richards, comp, and I think, I've said it a handful of times. We talk about, there may not be a ton of NBA players on this team. Like Nick Richards has, made a career being a backup big in the NBA, and I don't see any reason Malachi can't develop into that after next year even. So I'm there with you. I agree. Probably not his best game. The thing that actually I liked the most from Malachi in this game was he went 5 of 8 from the free throw line, and I think he missed his first 3. And I
know he missed 2 in the second half at a pretty crucial time.
Yeah, I remember and then he came back, and I think he missed his first one on his next attempt too. So he missed 3 straight. I don't know if that was his first 3 or what, but he still kind of had some confidence to get to that. That's obviously, I think, kind of been the biggest pause. We talked about it early in the year. There were games where he was going, 2 for 6 from the line or whatever it was. But to have him kind of have that confidence and down the stretch, I mean, we know how clutch he is. We know he obviously, hits the shot to beat LSU. But for him to not be scared and feel confident and get to the free throw line down the stretch, I think it's continuing to grow the confidence in him. We've said it 100 times. I'll continue to say it. He's been, such a bigger and better basketball player than I think you expected. Obviously, coming into this year, we didn't think he would even
our
play.
Expectations out of the water.
He would even play, and now we're at the point where we're talking about if JQ does come back, how do you sit Malachi? Who would have thought that would have been the conversation?
When do we have that conversation, Jake?
I mean, we talked about it a couple games ago, but
I know.
We'll see. Who knows? We may not even have to worry about it because there may not be another JQ sighting. The more and more games he misses, the less. And you asked me last time, and I said I think I was at 51% he doesn't play again. I might be even a little higher now.
And I'm going to put this on myself, Big Blue Nation. It's my fault. I ordered a Jaden Quayton's jersey. As soon as I did, I don't think he's played in a game. So that's the hand is up. That one's on me. I'll wear that one. But something that I think this team could really use a lot of right now is just a finishing big.
Yeah.
Whoever that is. Right now, we just don't have a big that can finish really around. Actually, let me just scratch that entirely. We don't have a player that right now that is
That's
finishing
very
well
true.
around the rim. And that's a lot of reasons why we are in these tight games and reasons we're trailing in the first half so much. If we could get either Malachi, I feel like Yelovich really doesn't find himself in that situations as much as, Brandon Garrison and Mo Diabate do. But if you get one of those three to just be that consistent finisher around the rim for when Denzel is creating or when Otega is down there and, forcing up shots, maybe you get an offensive rebound. I think that could be a huge addition to this team if you got to have one of them.
Yeah.
One of those bigs have got to be able to finish around the rim. And then if Otega would like to start making layups at the clip that he did last year, like it felt like Otega was always finishing through contact last year. And it felt like if he was going to the lane, it was going in.
Yeah.
For whatever reason this year, I feel the exact opposite. I want Otega to get fouled as soon as I see him with his head down.
It is crazy. I mean, that was obviously his bread and butter last year. I mean, we pretty much watched him beat Oklahoma twice by just running the head down Otega play.
I need to rewatch that. That was so insane.
It was like that was up there with like Carl Towns versus Notre Dame, right? Like in the tournament of just give Carl the ball and clear out and let him go for the last 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
that was our.
Maybe you should have done that against Wisconsin.
Yeah. Some would say we're all right. I mean, it's Arkansas week. We can keep throwing a little shade here and there, but
hey, I'm gonna see Mr. Calipari this weekend, Jake. You think he's gonna bring up any of these comments to me?
And not to go back a little further, but I mean, there's DeMarcus Cousins has even gotten on podcast and been like, I had Joe Mazzulla guarding me, and we couldn't find the ball to the post. So,
it's so disgusting.
Not to bring up more bad memories, but hey, it's Cal week. But no, yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know why Otega can't finish at the clip he finished at last year. I mean, I don't know what he's shooting on layups, but it's got to be like 50%. I don't know.
I don't know where to find that information. If I could, man, I'd have it for you. But it feels like it's just feels brutal. It feels like Lamont Butler last year. Like when we that's what it reminds me of for whatever reason.
But it's the whole team. I mean, Diabate finished. I mean, Malachi misses some bunnies.
Mo's got hands of stones, dude. This guy looks like prime. Like Jake, I don't know if you remember Roy Williams when he got traded to the Dallas Cowboys. That's who he looks like. He just got like cinder blocks for hands.
He also just, it's so funny watching him when he does drive to the basket. Like every shot, it just feels like he's just throwing it at the rim as hard as he can. And sometimes it'll clank off the rim. It
works sometimes.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I don't know what that's the thing. Like this team has so many deficiencies, but I think you're just seeing, just like we talked about early in the year, the effort wasn't there. Like the effort's not going to, take you from a bad team to, a Final Four team. I mean, they still have a lot of deficiencies, but just having that effort, you can win some of these games. You can string together some wins. You can. We said after they got ran by Gonzaga, like this team is not as bad as that performance showed. And, even with the poor roster construction and everything that we've talked about ad nauseum, like they still weren't that bad. It was strictly a lack of effort. And I think you're really seeing that since the Indiana game, just how much better that's gotten. And then that's led to where you still have deficiencies. You're probably still going to lose some games you probably shouldn't, but you know what? You can also just hang around and, make enough plays here and there in a handful of games to come out with wins. Yeah,
a lot of that is, like you mentioned, back to the effort. A lot of that is back to like this team's actually shooting the ball somewhat well from three as well. I mean, you have Denzel's now 37% on the year, Collin shooting 40%, Jasper shooting 39%, Trent obviously not as many attempts but shooting 41%. And then you got guys like obviously Yelovich is really starting to get that increased. I mean, what was he shooting at the beginning of the year? It was horrible. It was brutal through the first.
I don't think we watched him make a three for the first 3 months.
if I'm going to be honest, it was probably like, what was it, probably like 1 for 15 to
I
start.
was like, everybody tells me this guy's a good 3-point shooter, but I
I
haven't
was
seen
one of them.
it. Yeah, I know.
I was
I'm
one of
aware.
them, so I was waiting for it
I'm
to come
aware.
around. But yeah, I mean, that's been a big part of what this
Yeah.
team's been doing is finding success from the 3-point line. Because like even in this game, the first half they shot 25% from three, and then the second half they shot 37%. So I mean, you can see it just based half to half. Again, I don't want Denzel or Otega shooting 5 of them a game. Give me 3 in the flow of the offense. I'm cool with. I'm cool with Collin shooting around 7. I like where Jasper's at right now, and then everything else just whatever happens to be in the flow of the offense. And Jake, I do feel like since maybe me personally, I don't want to say I shit on the kid. That might be a little too harsh, but I mean Trent did give you good minutes in this one, but I think this is probably like
the kind of team he can play against.
This is, and I don't know when we're going to see this style of team.
Yep.
Maybe like Oklahoma, maybe is probably the only team left that we have on our schedule where this is kind of how you expect them to play. And outside of that, I don't. I hate to be so down on it. I don't see where the enthusiasm comes from. But he did give you good minutes in this game, so I'm going to give him the credit where the credit is due.
Yeah, and I think we all know what Trent Noah is, right? Like he's going to be a defensive liability, especially against majority of the SEC. I just think he's got to at least be able to knock down shots. And I know he only made 1 and shot 2, but like it was nice to see him at least kind of play with some confidence. And, when he knocked down that 3, I don't know if any person in the world had a bigger smile than he did. Like it was almost like there was a relief factor there. So
every single one. It doesn't matter. He could be like 1 for 40. He's celebrating. Yeah.
But like, if he's going to play, he's going to have to knock down shots because I think that's really the only way you can play him, right? You can live with some of his defensive efficiencies for, stretches. I mean, he's not going to ever be a guy that's playing starter minutes, but when he's out there, you can live with it a little bit if he's coming down and when he's open, knocking down shots. So hopefully he can kind of build some momentum just shooting the basketball because, I mean, we talked about it through the games early this year where he did get to play. He wasn't playing good defense. He wasn't rebounding. And then he wasn't either taking shots or when he would take them, they were so far off. So that was nice to see. I would like to mention we did get another Denzel Aberdeen air ball in this one. So I don't know if that was at a stretch you were watching or not.
I was going to let it go.
Well, I mean, but so maybe we just got that out of the way, and now he's going to go another 6 games without one.
Nation to hear this. It was not me who brought it up because there are people that have criticized me of being a Denzel Aberdeen hater, and while through the first 10 games that might have been accurate.
I will fully say until
this guy has been terrific, but Jacob Boyers is the one who brought up his air ball. I did not. I actually said I thought he played a pretty good game.
Yeah, I mean, I think Big Blue Nation expects us to talk about facts, right? And I mean,
we talk about facts on here.
It was fact or fiction. Was it an air ball? I mean, that's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all right. I mean, hell, Travis Perry started the game with an air ball, so just kind of setting the tone there.
That was a tough start. I was listening to Jack and Tom on the radio on the way over to the women's game, and
poor Travis.
Boy, I can't think of a worse way to start your return.
It was clear from the jump it was not going to go well for him. I mean, I audibly laughed when he airballed it. I mean,
let's say this, Jake. I mean, I know we gave predictions for what we thought Travis would do. I think you had him knocking down a couple of threes. I think I said he'd hit 1 or something like that.
Yeah.
Who would have thought Trent Noah would outscored him?
Outscored him,
I still wouldn't have given you that.
I mean, outscored him, outplayed him. I think, really, I mean, as bad as a homecoming could have gone for Travis, that went.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it was not good, and I kind of feel bad for Travis a little bit. At the end of the day, you chose to leave though, so I mean that's also kind of on you. But Jake, I think we've exhausted talking about this Ole Miss game and what was.
Yeah, it was
really just not a fun game to watch. Like I
legit
trying to keep up as much as I could. The women's game was not as much fun to watch either. I mean,
yeah,
they're struggling right now. I mean, they've got the week off until Sunday, Jake. So let's hope
they need it.
They got tired legs. That's something that Kenny Brooks mentioned. But speaking of tired legs, it's probably going to come into these Wildcats when Jake. We were talking about it before we came on to the pod. We don't even know if this team is left to go to Nashville yet for the game tomorrow. So I don't know if they're planning on leaving tomorrow morning, kind of doing what Louisville did. But you mentioned Louisville's getting destroyed against Duke right now. I don't know if that's still ringing true. But Jake, are these travel concerns and not being able to stick to a traditional schedule something that will play into what you think the Cats are going to do against Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that I think we both figured would be extremely tough, kind of no matter what. So if you tell me like they're gonna, get on a flight tomorrow morning and get down there, then I think, that obviously adds another wrinkle to it. It's weird. I mean, Matt Jones put out a tweet like he's hearing that they'll play if Kentucky can get there with no travel issues, but the team was going to leave today, and we haven't seen one bit of reporting that they've left. I haven't looked in a while to see if like Jack Pilgrim or anybody said anything, but you would obviously like to get down there as soon as possible and get prepared because I mentioned it. Vandy's got two guards. That Tanner kid, I watched. I know they lost that Florida game a week ago or whatever it was, but I watched just about every second of that because it came on right after us in Tennessee. And you talk about having flashbacks of, Mikel Brown and Conwell. It's those two guards and Duke Miles and Tyler Tanner. So I think it's going to be – I don't know who we have that will stay in front of Tyler Tanner for the majority of the game. I feel like he's poised to have a huge one. And you talk about getting in late and, tired legs. I don't think that's going to help the Cats by any means.
Yeah, and I just checked, Jake. I still have not seen anything on the Cats leaving. Now, granted, this could just be them not putting anything on social media, but
I think somebody would report it, though.
Yeah, normally when they're on the road, you have some sort of reporting that they have left. But, I mean, you mentioned the two guards are going to face. It's definitely a cause for concern. I will grant you that. I mean, Tyler Tanner shooting 40% from three. Duke Miles is shooting 34% from three. So both of them are threats from there. I mean, both of them are pretty efficient. Tanner shooting 50%, Miles shooting 45%. And like I mentioned, with what we saw from Otega on Saturday, I am a little concerned on whether or not he's going to have that same lockdown mindset that he comes into some games with and, doesn't have in other ones. But I also think that while he will still struggle in this game to guard some of these guys, I do think Collin's starting to come along on the defense side of the ball again. I do think that he's starting to find a little bit of that rhythm again. I do think both of these guys are still going to get theirs. I don't think there's a way in which we're going to stop them from getting them. It's just more, can we stop guys like Tyler Nickel who's shooting 46% from three? Can we stop guys like that from adding, a good amount of points to what is their great guard duo?
Yeah, I mean, this is one that, even when I said they would go 4-1 in that stretch, I had them losing this one. I think it's going to be an extremely, extremely tough game. And, I guess to your point, you kind of hope you let Tanner do his thing and you figure out a way to kind of stop everybody else. Because I don't know what he finished with in that Florida game, but that was kind of what the, Todd Golden, I think, set out to do, was just let Tyler Tanner do his thing and try to take away everything else.
Yeah, and I think that's just – he had 20 in that game, Jake. So, I mean, he went 7 of 14 and 2 of 4 from three against Florida. I mean, that was a game that, Miles really struggled, 5 of 15 and 1 of 5 from three. So it's almost just like you got to find a way to take one of them away.
Yeah.
Find a way to take one of them away. Or maybe not even even in that game, Miles still had 15. But make sure his 15 is on a poor shooting performance. Make sure it's, they're just not getting theirs at will. I think that's going to be huge for what the Cats can do in this game. And then really, when we're talking about what we need to do offensively, Jake, you got a drum over there where I can beat, where I can beat this thing to death. I mean, we got to get out to some sort of a good start. I mean, Vandy can really score the basketball.
Vandy's going to score. Yep.
and they can really shoot as well. I don't want to have to be looking at this and saying, "Oh, Jasper's keeping us in this. Jasper's keeping us in this." What I want to see is Otega and Denzel make a field goal before halftime. I don't think that's a lot to ask, and it's something that they haven't been doing too much of. But I don't
Another
know.
Jasper game? Another big
Coming in,
Jasper?
coming into this game, I felt pretty good. This was a game I told you I think we'd go on the road and win. The travel concerns are getting me a little, maybe backpedaling a tad on my take. Jake, I don't know. You tell me. Right now, I'm on the fence about as much as I can be. I know that you think that the Cats will probably lose this game, and it's going to be an uphill battle.
Yep.
I want to hear what you're going to say, and then I might completely disregard it when I do my pick anyways. But we'll see if you can talk me into your side.
I think for Kentucky to win, it's going to have to be similar to the Texas game, and obviously looking on paper, Texas a bubble team and you're at home, but
well, Texas also beat them by 16. So
yeah, but I just think with Vandy's ability to score, you're not going to be able to climb out of a big hole. I think that's part of the struggles with Alabama, over the past year and a half. You can't get down and you're going to have to find a way to score. So can Otega, Collin, and Denzel play a clean enough game where you're able to score in the mid 80s, and I think if you do that, you got a chance. But I just think you're going to have a really tough time winning this game. Scoring just 80 points. You're probably going to have to get up to that 86, 87 range, and then I think you got a chance to win it. So I just don't know. Do we have enough offense? We're still every game going 5-6 minute stretches without making field goals. And the Ole Miss game, it happened multiple times. So I don't know if you're going to have enough to survive one of those walls here at Vandy.
Yeah. Well, one thing that Vandy really struggles with is getting to the glass. And that's something that I think the Cats could and hopefully do take advantage of with the size that we have with a lot of these guys. I mean, just looking at that Florida game specifically, Florida rebounded them by 14. They got 13 offensive rebounds in that game, and that was a huge reason why Florida was able to come out on top. I think that's going to have to be something similar here in this game. Obviously, we're going to want to shoot the ball well. You got to control the glass. We're going to have the height advantages that. Jake, how do you pronounce his name? Chinalu? Is that it?
Yep.
That's what I thought it was. I mean, he had 10 boards in that game. You just got to find a way to have that physicality and be the more physical team in this one, because you mentioned it. When you play teams that can really score the ball, the only thing that can stop them necessarily from scoring the ball is being overly physical with them.
Yep.
Now, granted, I don't need Otega or Denzel getting an early foul trouble. I'm not suggesting that by any means, but I also do think this has got to be something where we set the tone of the game, and we're really, I think, in the grand scheme of things, you got to look back at this game. We probably have to have a rebounding margin where we win by 5 or more.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, that's got to be kind of your path to do it. And then hopefully Vandy's
BG game? I tried BG. BG, don't tell me I didn't try.
No, I think BG is playing the perfect role right now. And, I don't need any more or any less of BG right now.
Can this be the game where Otega hits the glass then? We've mentioned it in each of the last 3 games. I don't think he's had more than 3 rebounds.
More of the likely kind of thing is you out physical their guards. I mean, even Tanner, he's still a smaller guard, right? So you got the height, you got the size, you're gonna have to utilize it. And some bad news, BBN. I hope you guys are ready, because we got a stretch of 3 9 p.m. weeknight games coming up. So, we're all going to be texting each other, I think, at 11:15 tomorrow night, upset, but we'll see. Are you ready for a score?
I'm not ready for a score take. I was just going to talk about how old you are with all these.
Dude, I am old. 2 kids. At my bedtime, man, I like to be winding down, getting ready for bed at 10 o'clock, 10:15, and now I gotta stay up till 11:30, midnight, maybe in the next 3 weeks. That throws a whole wrench in my regiment.
This guy's complaining about everything. I mean, I'll be
tired for 3 days after this game. And then by the time I finally catch up on my sleep and I'm back in a routine, guess what? We're going to do it again next week, and then the week after.
Always so much negativity going on from one Jacob Boyers. But Jake, I am ready for that score prediction, sir. If you're ready to give it to me, I'm ready to hear the negativity you're about to spew on all of Big B Nation. Go ahead.
Again, I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. I hope we get on here, end of this week and we're talking about it, and you just say, "Man, Jake, you're the biggest idiot I've ever seen." Tanner scored 2 points and we won by 25. So I hope that's the case. But I'll say Vandy 87, Cats 80.
87 to 80, huh?
Yep.
Not going in the Cats' favor, you say?
Not going in the Cats' favor.
Jake, you know what kind of take I think that is? You want to know?
You've been waiting all day for this.
I think that's a cloud take. Maybe I need to get
this
one
guy,
more look at that.
This guy learned how to use ChatGPT one time.
That's what I think that is. And Jake, when we've been picking against the Cats, I think you're wrong on the last 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Good.
And you know what? Who has always picked the Cats in those games? Yours truly. Here.
I mean, keep it going. Man, maybe this is just my luck.
So what am I going to do to try and ride that wave, Jake?
Let's hear it.
I'm going to pick the Cats, even with the travel concerns, even with the injury bug, even with everything that they're going through. I think a lot of times when you get that, when you got to go through all of this as a team, you get booed on your home floor. You get booed in Nashville. You got to find ways to rally together. And I think they found a way to rally together. And it's something that, I'm happy about, man. Look, I mean, we're sitting here talking about it. We're having a good time. There for 3 weeks, you and I were miserable. Yeah. It was terrible talking about this team, what was going on. I think this team does find a way to win the game.
I love it.
I think this actually is going to be a game where they actually shoot the ball rather well. I think it's probably going to be one of their higher scoring games. I think they sniff the 90s in this one.
If they get that much, I think they win. I'm with you.
I think they sniff the 90s, but they're not going to get quite there. It's going to be 88 to 83. Cats on top. And Jake, I'm going to keep putting that picture. Probably going to be the thumbnail if we win this game.
I hope it is. I hope it is.
Jake, did you get a chance at all to hear what Richard Pitino Jr. said about Rick Pitino?
I heard a little bit. Which part?
So, he was obviously talking about his dad getting his 900th win against him. I mean, shout out Xavier Sucks. Anytime I can say that, I will. And what a clown hire that was, hiring his son. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But what I will say is that he's like, congratulations to his dad on his 900th win. He thinks he's the best basketball coach or college basketball coach of all time. And that he'd have a lot more if he would have stayed at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Which
it's
obviously
facts.
Is very true, and just another insult to anytime I can do it, I will.
I'm with you. I mean, how about Coach P picking up his 900?
I mean,
shout out.
Yeah, I don't know how he's still doing it, dude. He looks the same as he has for the past 15 years. It's kind of crazy. I need to ask him how he's doing this because
the guy loves basketball.
I got to talk to you twice a week, and it ages me maybe 10 to 15 years each time I do it.
Yeah. There we go.
All right, Big Blue Nation. Well, you heard it here. Jacob going on the negative side once again.
That's me.
All that being said, let's hope the Cats get a win. Obviously, as of now, they're still playing at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Haven't heard anything otherwise. Obviously, we'll have you updated if that is the change. But, Jake, it's still John Calipari week.
It is.
Calipari week.
I'm ready. That's the one we're getting. I'm not picking us to lose that one. So,
well, that might make one of us, but we're going to talk about that at a later date. Big Blue Nation, that's it for Cameron and Jacob of the Cats Talk podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, on X, on TikTok, Facebook, wherever you get your news. We're out there spreading it. And Jake, we're starting to get some traction on the YouTube. So please, guys, like and subscribe on there. It helps us out a lot. And wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, we're anywhere and everywhere. Until next time, Big Blue Nation, go Cats.
Go Big Blue.